Life is such a big game, a battle that just can't be won. Life is such a long game, and we've only just begun. Life is such a hard game, yet it's challenge so fun. Life level 1.
I missed you, dude.
Yeah, I've missed you too, man.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me out.
Yeah, it's it's kind of a mess trying to get everything organized when you have families, huh?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's luckily I only have one, so it's not as crazy as having three.
Well, the experience is great, and you plan on expanding, right?
Yes, yeah, we're hoping maybe sometime soon.
You're gonna have your 2.5.
Yeah,
nice, dude.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you. I support you.
The hard thing is trying to figure out how many years to put between the children. Because I definitely want Sid to have a sibling, but it's figuring out how, like, do you want it to be Sid to be 4 years older, 2 years older, 1 year older? So Sarah's 13 months from her older brother, and she really looked up to him and had this like really good relationship with him growing up, and they're like best friends.
Yeah.
And that had like a big impact on her. So it's like, I feel like I kind of want that with Sid and his younger sibling or his sibling and Sid. I don't know. We'll see.
13 months. That's really close in age.
Yeah.
That's basically the parents saying like, oh, I want to take like a quarter off of not being pregnant.
Right. Yeah. I think that they call them Irish twins or something like that. So
okay.
There's an actual term for it, because that's pretty close.
Speaking of Sid, I'm here with Sid's father, Luke Pammant, one of my best friends for a long time. And I'm Bryan McConnell. You're listening to Life Level 1. This is episode 3. Nice. I'm trying to do all of my best friends. So far, we're good.
Yeah.
I've got them all. I'm trying to think, do I have any other friends? No, I've got future episodes planned. But yeah, Luke, when was your son? Your son was born about 8 months ago?
10.
10 months.
Yeah. Back
okay.
in November. So
it's great being a father.
It is.
I enjoy it a lot.
It's incredible. I mean, the first 3 months really suck a lot.
Yeah, I'm just gonna text some people while you're chatting. Don't worry about it.
My phone.
Probably turn this off.
So the first 3 months are rough, but it's still incredible. But then after the 6th month, and then they start developing that personality, and it's just incredible. Just such an incredible experience.
They go from like some sort of grub that just eats and poops and sleeps to actually smiling, and you can kind of see a little bit of a soul in their eyes.
Yeah, well, and even just the fact that they recognize you, you can tell that they know who you are, even if you're just the thing that gives them food, and changes their diaper.
My daughter, who just turned 1 year old, and I don't know if it's the whole quarantine thing, because we haven't been socializing her as much, or we haven't been taking her to the store as much as we did with the other ones, but she is scared of all men.
Yeah.
Like whenever she sees a man, she just freaks out and starts crying. And I'm kind of worried that that's what's going to just happen naturally with this next upcoming generation of kids. I don't think it's that big of a deal, because after a while she gets a little bit comfortable.
Yeah.
But it's like, I want you to be a little cautious, but like, don't get turned off by every dude out there.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But if you want to become a lesbian too, I'm perfectly cool with that.
Yeah, dude, that's been my thing.
In fact, I almost prefer it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty neat when you see that they really do start recognizing who you specifically are, because it's all men except for myself and her brother.
Yeah.
Her brother isn't a man yet. He's only 3 years old, but he has to earn it.
Right. Well, I think you got like the grandparents too.
Yeah.
So
Good point.
Has that kind of attachment too. But yeah, it is crazy to think like how will COVID affect this generation of young children, and just the way that we interact with people now, like even just going out with everyone wearing masks and stuff. Like, is that, will that affect them psychologically? Like, will it disassociate them with, what a human face looks like? Because obviously they'll see what a human face looks like, but there's a lot of facial expressions that happen, and and by covering up half the face, you're not getting a lot of those expressions. But I give it a year or two, I'll probably have vaccines and all that, and everything will go back to normal.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it returns to, in quotes, normal, but I also feel like there's, of course, with everything changing, there's going to be a new normal. I guess this kind of sounds like an old man complaining about the generation gap between me and the next generation, but I don't see how any of this is going to be really that great. I try to remain positive, of course, and obviously something good's going to come out of it, but you know how people complain about, and I guess people would be the previous generations, but they seem to complain about the millennials, not being very financially driven or career driven.
Right.
So they just rely on their parents for paying for their college, and they live in the basement. Like that was that generation's issue with the other generations accusing them. I think this next generation, and again, this is just me sounding like grandpa, but I'm worried that this whole thing is just going to raise a bunch of socially awkward germaphobes.
Yeah.
And just like you said, there are minute facial expressions, just like little things that you probably don't notice consciously.
Yeah. With
like smiles and nose twitches and like the way that someone's, I don't know, jaw rotates or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, even jaw clenching. I could I could make no eye contact and just clench my jaw, and you could see a certain reaction coming from me. It's like
exactly.
I was listening to a book yesterday, and they're saying that like the human face is capable of something like 10,000 facial expressions. I was like, how the hell did you compute that? Like,
just counting one by one.
Yeah, I've got like maybe 6.
And it's funny because I'm a video game developer, and in video game development, I think we had, on our last game, Predator, I think we had 6 facial expressions for the fire team.
Yeah.
None of them were positive, by the way. It wasn't like happy and laughing. It was all like, get down.
Yeah.
Those kind of
Predator game, I guess.
faces. Yeah, exactly.
I can see that.
Get to the chopper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating for sure seeing how this next generation reacts. And with what you said about the masks, it's kind of sad to think that there are children out there who were born prematurely and haven't seen their parents' faces yet because they are in the NICU and their parents have to wear masks around them. So these children that were born 3 months premature have to look at their parents' face whose half of it is covered up by a mask, and they're not developing any sort of pattern recognition for those minute little movements that we're talking about in the face.
Yeah.
And those are important for reading someone's emotions. The only hope that we have is Elon Musk's Neuralink.
Yeah. Dude, that stuff is crazy. Did you watch that video?
I didn't. Did this have something to do with pigs or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
The 3 little pigs experiment. That's what they call it. Yeah. It's basically that like one pig, they didn't do anything. It's just a normal pig.
Okay.
The other pig they put Neuralink into it for I think a year or something like that, and then they removed it to show that this is reversible and you have no adverse side effects. And then the third one had the Neuralink in with it still. And
he's just watching pig porn just all day.
Right. Just his eyes are closed and you just know what he's doing. Brain activity. What's crazy though, you would actually appreciate it as an animator. They have the pigs on they put them on a treadmill and have them walk, and based on the brain activity that Neuralink is actually seeing, they can predict where the joints are going to be, because motion tracking, you put like golf ball type things on the legs and track all that stuff. So they actually were able to predict where each one of those joints was going to be based strictly on the brain movement or the brain activity. So you think about what can come with that is Elon Musk was saying a shunt between your brain, and look at someone that is paralyzed from the waist down. There's something in their spinal column that's not working, but the brain's working and the nerves are firing off. And from the waist down, after that damage, you could basically have a shunt down there, and from Neuralink communicate to that shunt and actually fire off the nerve, so you can actually walk and use your legs the way that you normally would, based strictly off of your brain activity.
Wow, that is impressive.
It's insane.
And I love that he is going about all of this trying to cure issues that are commonly amongst certain individuals, rather than just saying, no, I want to create a whole bunch of superheroes or whatever it is.
Right.
I'm kind of curious, what are these, maybe they showed it on the video, I need to check it out, but what are these images that they're looking at that they're basing these predictions off of? Because in my mind, I see some sort of like predator thermal vision of a slice of a brain at some point in the head, but I imagine they're taking that pixel data and breaking it up into some sort of code or some sort of way that it's read differently, so that they're not actually just looking at images, they're looking at something else that they're able to then make those predictions on.
I think so. Based on what I've been learning recently with like machine learning and artificial intelligence, so the way that Neuralink works is they've got like all these tiny little they're like thinner than a human hair, and they go into the brain. They actually can avoid all the blood vessels going through into your brain. They just kind of put this hair-like structure into your brain.
I'm thinking of like a cyber octopus. Like they just put this thing on the back of your head, and almost like in the Matrix or something. And then this cyber octopus just like shoots its tentacles into your head. Yeah. And just like nowhere to go. Each tentacle knows where to go. Anyway, go on.
So it's like that. But I think there's like thousands of these. I think they're diodes. I'm not super technical on that aspect. But as far as like the data that they collect, I think it's more like EKG type of like graph type of data for each node. And then what you can do with like machine learning is say, I'm going to record the pig on the treadmill, have him walk a bit, and see what the brain signals are that's firing off. And then I can correlate the image of the pig moving and where their joints are and everything with the brain activity.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, so after that's done, now they can say, okay, based strictly on the brain activity, I'm going to reproduce that image of the pig walking or where the joints are going to be, just based off of what it has learned of the way that brain works. Because every brain is going to fire off differently. Every connection in your brain is different than like, if I were to duplicate your brain and put it into my body, you would think I'm going to move my arm like this, but it wouldn't work the same just because everything is just wired differently.
There truly is that mind-body connection that's still a mystery to all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. Have you ever seen any of those like really cheesy like mystery detective type shows? Like, I don't know, I can't think of it. Like Law and Order or NCIS or some kind of crap like that. I don't watch any of that. I've caught glimpses of it.
Yeah.
But there's always some sort of scene in there where like some professional is at a computer and they're like, oh, we need to analyze this, the way that the body was laying when we found it. And then they're like, oh, well, let me type in some enhance, like,
right.
And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, yeah, here's the body. And they're like, oh, we need his arm up by his chest because that's where the wound happened. He was protecting himself. And so they're like, oh yeah, here, let me just hit this number, and automatically moves the value by the chest. I guess that's kind of what I was thinking. Like my interpretation of what this whole Neuralink thing was like is like I was looking at like a flat image of a brain from like a CAT scan or something. No, dude, that's not even close, bro. But if we were recording some shitty NCIS show or whatever, it would totally look like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it totally makes sense that there's this little device inside of the pig's brain, and then all of these wires coming out. So of course you're going to get some sort of graph reading from like thousands and thousands of these different nodes.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. And I remember listening to Elon Musk talk about Neuralink and how they're just, it's just a really small device. They drill a hole that I believe is less than an inch in diameter into the back of the skull.
Yeah.
And then that's where the device sits. It takes up the place of the bone, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the rest is just these super thin wires.
Yeah, it's crazy though. It's like you gotta charge your head gizmo.
Yeah, dude, it gives a whole new meaning to brain damage.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, I mean, my cell phone is garbage right now. It's 5 years old, and so it's slowly going to shit.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if that was your brain.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sorry, Mom, I forgot about our dinner that we were supposed to have. I literally forgot because Google was down in my head.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Or whatever.
Yeah. And having to keep up to date. It's like, God damn it, this new like this firmware update just made my brain slow. I gotta buy the next version, like a freaking Apple phone.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I hope that it doesn't turn into like some sort of slavery thing where we have to make like, oh, if you want to keep your Neuralink, it's going to be a membership fee from here forward.
That's the thing is like with the future. Like one thing that Elon Musk did say is like the future is kind of like freaky, is that you will be able to basically upload your brain, your consciousness to a machine and basically live forever, which then, that alone spawns all sorts of crazy talks on what is existence, what is it, consciousness, and do you have a soul and all that stuff, which is crazy.
And Ray Kurzweil has been talking about that for years.
Yeah.
I just thought of something that would be completely worse, though. Like, instead of a subscription payment or something, what if advertisements just randomly play in your head?
Oh, yeah, dude. That's like some Black Mirror type shit.
I know.
It's like, everywhere you walk, you got like just advertisements. Or what's Altered Carbon? That's the other. It's a show on Netflix.
Okay.
Where it's, they're like walking around and like there's like holograms and stuff all around them with like ads that are targeted to that certain person. And, it's like if you get Neuralink, and now they can like make you essentially hallucinate ads.
That is not the type of hallucination I want to have.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. I mean, when I was younger, I was so scared of like different advertisement schemes that I would hear from adults. And I'm talking really young. I want to say like maybe 12 or early teens. I was nervous about, for example, them projecting something onto a mountain. Like you're trying to look at this beautiful mountain landscape, and all of a sudden there's a Coca-Cola logo up there, or whatever. And then there was even talk of them projecting something onto the moon. Why would someone pay to rent a projector that powerful, and why would we make a projector that powerful? I don't really know. But yeah, that's no longer necessary. That idea is now obsolete, because all they have to do is just either do it in our Neuralink, or eventually there's going to be some sort of augmentative reality type goggles or contacts that we'll be wearing.
Yeah.
And that's all they'll need to do is it'll just be software.
Yeah. Have you seen the HoloLens yet? Like
No.
It does like augmented reality.
No, dude, I'm so behind on all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I've recently started trying to catch up on pop culture. I'm so far behind on pop culture. Anyway,
that's a lost cause.
But yes, tell me about this.
The HoloLens is augmented reality, so it's basically it's like glasses. So I could see you, but then I could also have a hologram just like sitting right here and actually be able to see it and move around it, and it would stay exactly there.
Nice.
My father-in-law has one right now. So they're like $5,000 for one.
Oh, geez, I didn't even. Okay, I thought these were in development. I didn't know that these were already.
I think they're released for like commercial use, but with this whole COVID thing going on, there's a need for things like this where you don't need to interact necessarily in person. You could have like. One of the examples they have is like you got a mechanic. Let's say I'm even an amateur mechanic in my garage, and I'm just like working on my engine. I could put on my HoloLens and I could pay a mechanic somewhere else, anywhere in the world, and we could both put on our HoloLenses, and he could see my engine bay in 3D, and then like draw and say, right here, and I would see a circle appear on the engine, like, through my eyes. Like,
it's just sort of like when someone logs into your computer remotely and is able to either control your mouse or on Zoom, for example, when you share a screen, they can use the little pencil tool.
Yeah, but like
but in your
reality,
face, like right there in your face. Yeah,
it's pretty wild. That's pretty cool. Like even things like you wouldn't even need computer screens anymore. You could literally say like, right here, there's like a 70-inch computer screen or something, and it would just appear, and everything would just work. It's like it's crazy. It's really cool. But Neuralink, take that up a notch, and you're hallucinating your computer screens and all that stuff.
What's really neat is like on Zoom and those sorts of video sharing apps. There are stamp tools, and then there are little pencils that you can use, and you draw with your mouse. With some sort of augmented reality sort of setup, you could draw simple primitives, or you could drag in models. Like,
Yeah.
I could be like, hey, dude, I really need to show you. I really need to show you this thing. I need your help fixing this thing. And then you like you're looking through my camera at my room or whatever, and whatever I'm working on, and I just drag like a whole bunch of like floppy dildo primitives, and then I'm like, gotcha. There's just like dicks all around, like whatever action figure I have. I don't know.
Just like with physics and everything, just flood the room.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is pranks are going to get to the point where they're almost like too good.
Next level pranking.
Yeah. I was speaking with Kristen the other day about Jackass and how much that series and movies affected our culture, I feel. And almost, I don't want to say in a negative way, but like, I'm scared of things like paper cuts in between my fingers on the webbing of my fingers now because of little pranks that they would do.
Yeah.
And you look at some of the YouTube pranks that they have, some of them are okay, but and I like that they're still kind of trying to do like this social thing. I guess Jackass wasn't really social. It was more just that group doing things to themselves.
Right.
I guess they did eventually expand out where Johnny Knoxville would like, dress up as an old man and then sit in a shopping cart as someone pushed him down a hill and he just like went flying through a window or whatever.
Yeah.
But most of their pranks weren't like that, and most of the pranks that you see on YouTube currently are more they're more like people pranking people who aren't expecting it, and they're not planned out. It's more impromptu, I guess, type of pranking.
Yeah.
But I don't know why I went down this rabbit hole of pranking, but it's just one of the many, many, many possibilities that are going to come of this. Mm-hmm. What's really cool is once we can like just figure out how to solve basic living issues like deafness and blindness, and we can start to help raise certain people who were born very unfortunate up to a level where they're almost equal, if not even better, than like just a standard average person, then we can expound upon that and all start really working together and get different perspectives and just blow the future up in a good way.
Yeah.
Not literally, no nukes or anything.
Yeah. But that's the thing. So like you think about like, we're joking around about like advertisements, like them being able to make you hallucinate advertisements and stuff. But yeah, you take someone that's blind, and now you can have them hallucinate the entire world. Like they're not actually seeing it through their eyes, but the Neuralink might have like some camera or something like that, and now they can actually see the entire world because the Neuralink is actually firing certain things off. It could even maybe enable. Maybe it would be you could use the eyes. Maybe you put a chip on the back of your eye the same way that your optic nerve works, and now you have that chip talking to the Neuralink and everything. Like, I don't know, it's crazy. It's wild. The future is it's so crazy, the things you can do with technology.
I think we live in the most fascinating time. I mean, I guess it keeps getting more fascinating the more you progress. We just happen to be lucky that we're in our 30s, early 30s, and we're experiencing this point in time. I mean, we have minor setbacks, like the whole COVID thing is a big bummer, but I'm hoping that there's a renaissance that comes of that, but that's a completely different topic. It's just a really, really neat time right now, and I'm genuinely looking forward to the future. I always feel like I'm constantly stuck in the past. Like, I still like my N64 games and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I was actually talking with some friends yesterday about after COVID get together and do some N64. Yeah.
Well, just any sort of like LAN party. Like, let's do an actual LAN party rather than playing with each other over the wire. Know, let's get together in real life, in person. And those are some of my best times with you and some of our other friends like Colton.
Yeah.
We're just getting together and just playing games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's how I've made the majority of my friends and kept the majority of my friends is just by playing games together. So, you know, even though, distance might separate us, but we can still be friends and we can still hang out online, and it's, you know, it's awesome. The future of video games is like, that's a pretty
I know. I'm hoping
thing.
it gets more physical. I'm hoping that they develop some sort of, and by they, I mean whoever, but some sort of Omni treadmill sort of setup. You can play first-person shooters, but they're not first-person shooters because your first-person camera is your actual eyeballs, and you're looking at some sort of goggles or something. But you're playing in a warehouse with other friends, like laser tag, but almost exactly like laser tag.
The future is now. They have that. They have that right now. It's crazy with the,
I believe it. Okay.
So with the Oculus Quest and the Oculus, they just announced that the Oculus Quest 2 is coming out. But James and I have been playing a game called Pavlov's or something like that. Pavlov Shack.
You just made me salivate.
Yeah. I don't know where that name came from. But it is like that first person shooter, like you are interacting with the actual guns. Granted, I'm not running around in my basement. But I can walk around in my basement. But yeah, it is a first person shooter, and you have like the gun. You actually have to like take the clip out of the gun, grab the new clip, put it in, and then cock the gun, and then you're aiming down the sights and everything. But they have even warehouses dedicated to these like experiences, these VR experiences, where like they'll even set up foam props and stuff in real life, set up foam props. But then in the game, when you're looking at these things, it might look like a rock or like a sofa that you can sit on. Yeah. And so you can actually touch it and feel it. But in the game, it's like it's something completely different. And you can even have like crazy escape rooms and stuff that you can do. So you can get a group of friends, go into like some small warehouse, and you all put on VR, and now you're in a spaceship, and the spaceship is running out of oxygen or something like that, you know, and you got to quickly figure out, everyone's got to work together to figure out how to get this, you know, get oxygen flowing again in a limited amount of time.
That sounds so much more healthy than online competitive multiplayer type scenarios. But
I know, man, I get mad that gets my heart racing. I like, there's so many times when I'm like, I'm such a nerd. I'll like literally be sitting there. I won't, like, the most my muscles are moving is this little like finger moving, you know, maybe a couple. My heart is pounding. Like I can see my heart pounding like from my sternum. It's like, it's insane. I don't know if that's healthy. I don't think it's good, because it's like my heart is pounding for no reason, just because of like, I don't know, stress hormones or something. Because my body's making my adrenaline.
I don't know if that's
fire off.
necessarily bad. I guess the bad part, the negative part of that would be that your stress,
like the cortisol is like firing off. I'm getting all these like stress hormones, and then I'm not burning it off. I'm just sitting there.
Your mind is telling you that you're in danger and you need to run, but you're not actually running. Yeah. Like that's probably the negative part. Is you're not actually exerting any of that physical energy, because like you said, you're just moving your little phalanges up and down.
And I don't know if that's how cortisol works, where it's like, you know, you get this adrenaline, you get like that cortisol, and it gets burned off by you actually doing something physical. And so what I'm starting to try and do with my friends is say, if we do play games together, depending on the game, every time we die, 10 push-ups or 20 push-ups or something like that, depending on how frequently you die. You know,
that's a good idea.
Yeah. If you're doing like a deathmatch style game where you die 20 times in a game, you're not going to do 20 push-ups every single time you die. But like maybe at the end of the round, you died 20 times. Okay, multiply that by 2. Do 40 push-ups, you know.
That's really nice. That's a good idea. And that kind of reminds me of an idea that I had. I think I spoke with you about it, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'm back to the pranking thing. Like imagine, because all of this would be great if it was in like some sort of warehouse and you do have like foam props set up, but then some asshole is going to put a fucking bed for you to stub your
a dildo on the couch.
Yeah, I was thinking just like put a full California king size bed frame in the middle of the match, and people are just running full sprint and they don't see the bed frame,
stubbing their toes.
But there will certainly, I mean, if not, that's a big bug, and there needs to be a JIRA ticket written up for that immediately. But there needs to be some sort of like camera detection, almost like what Tesla cars have. Like if they have other ways besides just cameras of determining whether or not some sort of obstacle is in the way of the driver.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't have things like, when Microsoft Kinect came out, where it could actually detect how far away you are from your background using like 2 cameras, the way that like human eyes work, right? Or any creature's eyes that have 2 eyes. But like being able to detect depth based on that, plus the camera, plus even like infrared and all that stuff, take all that data, and now you can have like a truly more indicative environment like inside of your headset, and it can protect you and say, hey, like you're about to run into that king size bed
that Johnny put there.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn it, Johnny.
Yeah, as he would.
But yeah, the Tesla cars do use multiple sort of sources to determine that kind of stuff, and it's very important, especially if you want it to be a little bit more realistic, so less cybernetic and a little bit more laser taggy. Like what's one thing that you associate with laser tag? Oh, bright colored lights with some sort of fog system. If you want like a real fog system, then they're definitely going to need some sort of other way of tracking besides just visual cameras. And I think I would get so much. I believe that my interest in video games would reignite. Like I said, I like to play. I mean, I haven't done it in a while, but I enjoy playing the old games. And I don't know if it's a nostalgia thing or maybe I abused myself as a kid.
Right.
But I enjoy playing those old style games. I feel like if something like this were to take place where you could actually be a little bit more physical while playing, it would reinvigorate my interest in video games itself. Because that's one thing I like doing is I like being physical, and after staying up all night playing a video game with some friends, I feel like crap the next day. And I think a lot of people feel that way. I mean, some Koreans have even, been sentenced to jail because they've been playing games for days straight, just sitting there, and they didn't feed their baby or whatever,
Yeah.
And it's there's definitely an addiction issue there. And I've even felt some guilt as a video game developer in the past of, am I just making drugs for kids? But I turn that around immediately. You can't think that way because anything could be a drug, for one. Sure. And I'm bringing enjoyment to a whole bunch of other people. It's not fair that those other people don't get to enjoy the video game that I'm working on just because a few people, can't sleep.
Right. Yeah, you're going to have that with anything. You're going to have that like maybe 10% of the population that don't have the self-control and will, whatever you build is going to be detrimental to them with anything that you do, but you got to look at the flip side of it is, the other people that they do have a positive impact. Not saying that video games are a positive impact, but I do think that they are in a way. It's like what I was saying, like I've made a lot of friends and kept a lot of friends strictly from video games. And I think it, and honestly, video games is what got me into the career that I'm at. It's video games is like the reason why I got into programming, and the reason I got into art, and I got into art and I met you guys, and then programming is like my thing now. And one of the reasons why I'm able to progress up the ranks with programming was just because I build video games at home for fun. I find a way to apply what I need to do at work, and I apply it to a video game, and I get obsessed, and I just do nothing but program and learn how to learn that technology. It's so valuable.
This damn fly just flew around my head and fucking distracted me from what I was gonna say. But yes, get out of here, dude. You're not on the podcast. You're not a guest. So yes, sorry, what were we just talking about? I was listening, I promise.
Yeah, no, just the video games, how it's like how it's important, or how you feel like crap.
That's what I wanted to say. I'm just like what you said. I do think that there's a lot of inspiration that's coming from video games. Like we've all heard stories of how Star Trek, the very first series, really affected the way that we went about creating technology from then forward. That was just one show back when TV only had, like 100 shows? I don't know. There wasn't a lot of content back then. Now there's infinite number of content, It seems like that's a really high number now that I think about it. In our lifetimes, there's an infinite number. Like, we're not gonna be able to watch any fraction of that before we die. But the point I'm trying to make is there's all sorts of video games out there that are doing the same thing. An X number of video games doing the same thing as one show did back in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
Or mid 1900s. When was it? I guess it would be mid to late.
Yeah.
Anyway, point is, one show changed all of that, and now we have all of these games that are inspiring an entire generation to exponentially go out and be inspired to create all of these sorts of things that they're seeing made up fiction in a video game.
Yeah, just sparking that piece of creativity, sparking that imagination for any one particular kid to go on and create that thing that some artist had no idea about science, like the science of how these things work. Some guy just came up with this crazy thing, and now, some kid 20 years later is gonna recreate it. It is pretty crazy.
And I like what you said earlier about monitors eventually becoming obsolete. Like, we're not going to need monitors anymore. And I think part of why that fascinates me so much is the reason why video games are the way they are, where people are sitting down for way too many hours at a time playing a video game without eating or sleeping, or maybe even drinking water. They're going to be able to get rid of that because it's the monitors that are keeping us there. Yeah. If the monitor is attached to us, then there's no issue with us not getting up and moving. And I just thought of this. What if, and it's going to happen, of course, but imagine a game where you are wearing a headset. I guess that would just be real life. But part of the game is actually ingesting sustenance. So, like, part of the game is, like, the game is keeping you alive because you want to keep playing this game, but the developers are aware that if they just keep playing the game, they're eventually going to die. Right. So we have to put, like, these little side quests of, like, go eat food.
Yeah. Yeah. Go get some cereal. It's like a zombie apocalypse. You got fresh milk in the fridge.
What was it, Fallout, where you had to drink out of a toilet? Like, there was, like, an option to, like, grab the item in the toilet or drink water, and, like, if your cursor was just barely on the edge, you just, like, drink the water.
It's awesome.
Can't make that mistake anymore.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, I think that'd be great, man.
Well, the next time you come over, I'll show you the Quest, because it's really cool. Mm-hmm. I've been playing that quite a bit lately, and it's like my back starts hurting because I'm standing and, like, moving around and stuff like that, but, like, I'm not used to standing because I sit so much. Mm-hmm. And I have started using my standing desk more, but, like, it does make it very apparent, like, I am sitting too much of my life. But the Oculus Quest is really cool. It's like, and it's gotten my heart rate up a couple times. It's made my mm-hmm. hair stand on end. It's like, it's crazy. I've been playing Half-Life Alyx. And there's some moments where it's like you feel like you're in the game, you're in the environment. They did such a good job in that game. It is insane, and it is like, there's some parts where just, like, something like a head crab will pop out of somewhere, and I like physically, like, jump back, and, like, my hands are shaking, but I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like, my hair is standing on end, and, like, okay, I got this gun, and, like, I gotta, like, unload it, like, because I unload the clip and I miss every time. I gotta now reload the gun. But just, like, the semantics of, that's one thing you remove with the typical video games nowadays, is, like, the reloading of a gun. Like, in the heat of a situation, reloading a gun can be, like, really difficult. Like, you fumble around and stuff, like, and this is me playing a freaking video game. It's not,
dude, I have to animate first person reloads. I did on Predator Hunting Grounds.
Yeah,
I animated a lot of those. I can't talk, but I animated a lot of those first person reloads. And with a video game, for design purposes, of course, you want the person to feel like the hero. You want the person to feel like they can reload a gun in less than 2 seconds, which almost all of those reloads are less than 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But in real life, yes, you can get to that point where you can reload that quick, but it takes a lot of training, military training. So a regular civilian isn't going to get that.
Right.
But it is very interesting. And I thinking of the Half-Life Alyx, that trailer, the original trailer for that game, came out a long time ago, and I remember looking at that trailer and thinking, wow, this is an extremely beautiful game.
Yeah.
And if the trailer is that old, there's things in development right now that are going to surpass that, and so forth. Back to what we were talking about with the whole physical movements.
Yeah.
That will eventually become a part of video games. I feel like I'm not giving ourselves enough credit because we're already doing that. We're like you said with the warehouses and whatnot. We've been doing it for a few years. We just need to be a little bit more patient. I need to be a little bit more patient because those things have been development for a long time now. Like there was the Xbox One Kinect.
Yeah.
There was the Wii. What was that? The Wii paddle thing you'd stand on.
Yeah.
Those were just like the early prototype phases of what eventually is going to be video games that help people stay in shape.
Yeah, look at like Dance Dance Revolution.
Yes.
So I've been watching. Have you seen? Dang it, it's gone. High Score on Netflix. It's a whole documentary on the video game industry,
okay.
and it's like a mini series on. It starts like way back in the day of like the Atari and all that stuff. But I guess Dance Dance was like the dance pads were a thing like back in like the 80s even.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
And then we had like Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero was a big thing when I was in high school.
Yeah. And Rock Band, you could do like the natural drums and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, they are. But that's the thing. I think the problem is that not enough of the market is buying that stuff. So the video game developers don't really have an incentive to pursue that per se. I think that's one thing that's cool about what Facebook is doing with Oculus and the Quest. So they're trying to like democratize the VR space. They're trying to make the price of entry lower. So they're selling like the new Oculus Quest 2 is coming out in October like 13th. And they've lowered the price by $100. So it's like $300 to get this VR headset. And they're taking a loss on that. They're losing money by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But cool thing is that will allow more of the video game market share to get into virtual reality and show developers, hey, there's actually good money to be made here. And once that content starts pouring out, and once, if Facebook makes a bunch of money on that, then other people start building other like VR headsets, and prices should drop, and then we can really start moving into this space. But I think like right now it's just there's not quite enough money being made to really kind of push it forward.
Yeah, that's a good point. There certainly needs to be financial incentive in order for anybody to do anything.
Right.
Develop towards any sort of risky business like that, or what in the past would be considered a risky business. VR has been getting the boot for a long time now. It seems like everybody was always like, oh yeah, by the year 2000 we'd have flying cars and VR will be really awesome.
Yeah.
But it hasn't taken off until 18 years later after that.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like it is getting to that point now where it's gonna be worth it for the average video game connoisseur to consider purchasing a VR headset. Before, I mean, yeah, it was great back in 2016 with whatever that one was called. I can't even remember, but I remember putting it on and seeing, it was all pixelated. Everything was pixelated, and then you could tell that like there was just a little bit of a frame rate lag there as you would rotate your head in certain directions. It was cute, but it wasn't anywhere close. And now 4 or 5 years later, it's certainly getting to that point, I feel.
Yeah.
And some of those games are really fun and addicting too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even like Beat Saber is like a prime example. Like there's a lot of people. I think I even saw something on like the Oculus Reddit or something on someone losing 100+ pounds because they play so much Beat Saber. Like,
wow.
I don't think it's probably not just the Beat Saber, but I do think that Beat
eating.
Saber, like, I think honestly it is kind of part of it. I think they did change their diet. They must have, but I think that even the fact that it's like, they play Beat Saber and it's really fun. It's a way for them to work out and have fun doing it. I think them just putting the effort into playing the game, it's it is rewarding in itself, but also since they put all that effort in, they're going to start making better decisions on like diet and all that stuff, and be like, okay, I can actually work out. Working out is actually pretty fun. I can get my heart rate up. I can do all this stuff and actually compete with friends and become good at this thing. And I think that, further incentivizes them to then make healthier decisions and stuff too. So it is kind of multifaceted in a way.
Yeah, working out truly can be fun, and what's sad about it is the working out isn't the fun part. It's the achievements that you get from working out that are fun, like being able to, open a door just by barely pushing it, and it just like flies open, and you break the glass, and you're like, "Oops, did I do that?" Yeah, because I'm a beast.
Yeah, my bad.
So yes, there is a lot of enjoyment that can come from working out. Feeling good is probably the biggest one, and we play all of these games with these big, giant, muscular, superhero type heroes,
right?
Main characters, and we control them, and that's understandable. You want the player to feel like a big, strong, or whatever it is that you're trying to emulate in
the
your
hero.
game. Yeah, you want them to feel like the hero. That there's certainly a gap there. You and me are not as big as that dude from God of War,
Yeah.
But we enjoy taking on that role every once in a while. And the reason why is because in God of War you can get these achievements as this big muscular dude, and you can beat these giant gods, and you can feel accomplished by doing so. But it is holding your meat body back. In the future, with these sorts of video games, the incentive will be not, numbers on a screen popping up next to a gold coin icon, but instead, can you get to the point where you can lift 200 pounds off the ground in deadlift fashion, or get to the point where you can lift 300 pounds deadlift fashion? Can you squat 400 pounds? And it won't necessarily be that direct, like, can you squat 400 pounds, but it'll get to the point where you as a team maybe have to carry this giant log up it's almost like what's like Tough Mudder, or the other one, those sorts of things that people voluntarily sign up for. We did Tough Mudder together a long time ago, and it's fun, and you really feel like a camaraderie building between you and your friends. Like, you become better friends because of it. Mm-hmm. And we voluntarily went through that suffering together, but we didn't get any points in the upper right of our HUD, or whatever. We did it just because. Once the psychologists figure out a way to trigger something similar within our head, our Neuralink, our VR goggles, whatever it is, for doing something similar, then we're going to have a whole bunch of jacked nerds just running around destroying everybody.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yes.
In an ideal world. When you were just talking about, like, you just gave me an idea for a game for
Don't
VR.
You love that?
Yeah.
Ugh,
so
I hate it.
yeah. But like building something in VR that actually like makes you better in real life. Where what if it was like that? 'Cause there's a game called The Climb, and it's a rock climbing game. But what if rather than just like pressing buttons on a controller, you actually had like a grip sensor that could see how hard you were squeezing, so that when you actually grab onto a rock, if you're not squeezing hard enough, you're not supporting enough weight, so you actually your character can't grab on or something like that, and you actually have to squeeze on while you're holding, and then you could like let go of one hand, but you got to keep squeezing on the other, so you're actually building up forearm strength or something while doing it. And you can't get to the top of a mountain if your forearms aren't actually strong enough. You have to level up in real life to level up in this game to actually achieve things in the game. Yes,
that's exactly what I was trying to say. Or even
life level 1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or even better than that. Imagine a rock climbing treadmill in some sort of warehouse, and they're wearing a VR set, and they have to actually climb this treadmill that's constantly being randomized on the other side of the treadmill.
Yeah.
So it's not the same footholds just going in a loop. Different things are being spawned in the other realm, behind the curtains.
I wonder if you could even like map out a cliff face like that Yosemite cliff face. And
Of
actually
course
come
you
out with
can,
it.
Luke. Where are you, dude?
Duh.
We've been talking about this for hours.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. I like that idea.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Don't publish this until we make it.
Oh yeah, okay. This will come out in like never.
Right.
But no, it kind of got me thinking about this card game idea that I have. I told you about the card game, right?
Yeah.
And that's so analog in comparison. And I purposefully want it to be that way. One, for developers' simplicity's sake. Like, I don't have the time to go out and make my own video games when I'm working at a video game studio already. Time or desire, I should say. When you do what you do for work, you don't necessarily want to come home and do that same thing again. But I do enjoy illustrations as well, on top of being an animator at a video game studio, and therefore I'd like to eventually do something with my illustrations. For the longest time, it was make a children's book, and I still have that idea on the back burner. But I want to make this card game. Basically, I'll just cut to the chase. I want to make this card game that is a trading card game amongst friends. And I, for example, give you 3 cards. There's a challenge card that you can actually physically look at and read. Then there's an inspiration type card that's hidden in some sort of envelope. And then I want to put another reward card within an envelope as well that would probably have like the icon of a treasure chest on it. And on this challenge card, I have handwritten, I would like you to attend 3 jujitsu classes. I want you to go to 3 jujitsu classes. And then once you accomplish that goal, then you can open up the reward card envelope, and inside is a physical trading card with me where I've handwritten, dude, I think that's awesome. Let me take you to dinner, or whatever it is. And then the inspiration card would be if you get discouraged, like maybe I was being a dick and I said, go to 100 BJJ classes. And about 6 months in of that, you're probably, like I did, going to get a little discouraged because you've been choked out and your arm got broken or whatever.
Right.
that doesn't happen. I don't want to scare you. But the point is, you can open up this inspiration card and it's another handwritten message by myself saying, hey, dude, just keep going. I know it gets tough. Like if the challenge was to read a book, I know that this part of the book is really hard to get through, but trust me, it's worth it in the end, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that because although I am a big fan of this big heading in the direction of the future cyber digital realm, I still feel like there's a balance that needs to take place where we are kind of dabbling back into the analog portion where things are physical and tactile and we disconnect from the screens or the neuralink or whatever.
Sure.
And so that's why I'm kind of fascinated with this card game idea. And this is just a simple idea, giving an example of what is also going to happen in the future, where there's going to be people that rebel and want to disconnect from all of that stuff and want to do something that's more retro, I suppose, when really it's just reality.
Right.
But yeah, I like the idea of this, of creating this card game, and I hope that I eventually get around to it. I've been working on it on the side, but sadly it just doesn't go anywhere. And then like the whole point is to keep these cards as like almost like you would a photo album or something. You keep them, they're trading cards, and you just keep them in your collection book, and you can go back and look at all the old times that you had where your friend challenged you to do something.
It's like bringing the achievements to real life. Like those are your achievements.
And I feel like that's the small little thing that I could do at this point in time that will help hopefully lead in that direction of, making real life the video game. So
yeah, I like that idea. I think it'll be great. Yeah, and like you're talking about maybe different like milestones even.
Mm-hmm.
If you do have like this super lofty goal of like, okay, 100 BJJ classes, there could be like milestone 1. Here's the reward.
Well, if you're going to give a
milestone.
goal to a friend, dude, that's a dick goal to give.
Yeah.
That's basically saying, like, I want you to completely change your life.
Right.
And with any goal, it's hard enough for a person to set a goal for themselves. And with any goal that's being set, especially for yourself, or especially for a friend, but most certainly for yourself as well, you want to start small. You want to start simple. You want to do something that is achievable. You don't want to set, a financial goal of, I want to make $1 million by next year. That's not going to happen.
Right.
So yes, you have to give small goals. And so I feel like there's a bug with this game already just because of that. And people will draw dicks all over the cards, or like swastikas, or whatever horrible thing that always comes whenever there's a customizable video game.
Right.
But it's going to happen, and it's only going to get not worse, but there's going to be more avenues in which people are going to be able to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
it's like, do you want to spend all your energy trying to prevent the 10% of people from being that 10%, or do you want to spend all your energy working on the 90%
yes.
of the people that are actually going to use it like the way you intend and get a good amount of use out of it? So.
Of course, yeah. Well, brilliant, my friend. We're getting to the point where we're probably going to be wrapping up here soon. I must say, I really appreciate you coming out here, man. We've been talking about all this awesome stuff in the future, and yet you come to a friend's basement to record a podcast. Like, what's a podcast? Doesn't everybody have a podcast? But no, this is just another, like I said, this is another small thing that I feel like I can do that doesn't take up, a major portion of my time, and it allows me the opportunity to annoy my friends enough that they will come to my basement and spend some quality time with me. I had a great time today with you.
Yeah, I had a great time with you, man.
And obviously I want you back.
Yes.
To record some more.
Yeah, I'd love to come back. And I just, I thank you for doing this. This is something that, like, I feel like 20 years from now we can look at this and, like, I don't know, it's just cool.
Yeah, it is really neat when you can go back and, like, wow, we were so young. We had the whole world ahead of us. Yeah. Why were we sitting on beanbags? Look
how stupid we are. Look at that posture.
I know, right? So, yeah. Do you have anything that you would like to plug? I had my buddy Colton on here for the last episode, and he didn't mention it to me until afterward, but he was doing some voice acting for a podcast that you might be a part of as well. It's with Mike Ashley.
No. Oh, okay. So it's like a Dungeons and Dragons type of thing?
Yeah. And I wanted to plug that podcast. Sadly, I didn't know the name of it, or I wanted him to plug it.
Yeah.
But I have to take the responsibility. Anyway, is there anything that you would like to plug at all?
I've got a million different projects going on at any given point in time. Right now, I'm working on a game called Chronos. Mm-hmm. That's kind of been my passion project for the past 2 years. I'm revisiting it, but right now, I mean, the domain is just Chronos, like CHRONOS.lukepammant.com. But yeah, hopefully in the coming months, I'll have something like beta or alpha. It's a massively multiplayer browser-based game. So it's like it's using all the web technologies, like enterprise-style technologies that any big company would use. And I'm trying to adopt like new architectures and using it as a way to teach myself how to do things and make my resume look good and get new jobs. But also it's something that I really think is going to be a lot of fun. It's like a sci-fi space-based game, kind of like Eve Online, but like Eve Light, I guess is what I'd call it.
Very nice. Yeah, I'll put a link in the description. How many times have you heard that phrase?
Yeah,
yeah, that's great, man.
Make sure to slam that like button
and
subscribe and turn on notifications.
And if you agree or disagree, or maybe are just at somewhere in the middle with anything that we've said on this podcast, go ahead and just leave a comment.
Yeah, just sneak a little comment in there. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, just slap a comment on there.
Yeah, slam it.
Slap it or slam it. We really don't care.
Yeah,
just go ahead and comment. Yeah. Quit being a pussy. That's another great thing about doing this podcast is That's not a goal of mine. I'm not gonna ever check that box that says, do you want to monetize this video? I'm not gonna do that because it's a podcast. It should just be enjoyed. I don't want you to have to sit through some sort of advertisement that's getting flowed through your neuralink directly into your brain.
Right.
I want you to just get straight to the content, and I don't want to be that guy. But that said, I completely understand why others do it, and I've thought about selling out as well, but and maybe if I have like 1 million followers at some point, I probably will. But my plan was always to plug my own ideas, my own projects, the stuff that I created that I'm selling, and then also plug the stuff of friends and family and people that I have on the podcast.
Yeah,
I don't really ever want to get to the point where I'm like forcing people or like trying to manipulate people into commenting. But that said, yes, go ahead and comment if you'd like. If you don't, I hate you.
Right.
It's like, with video games, there's 2 ways to incentivize somebody to do something. You probably know of the 2 ways. You incentivize them with some sort of value that they'll be receiving, or you incentivize them with some sort of consequence that will come to them if they don't. And I don't really want to do either.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess if I really wanted people to do something, I would go with the former. Like, I want you to do it because you're going to be getting something out of it. And I hope that you've got something out of this video. I had a great time doing it. I love my friend Luke here. He's a wonderful person. Check out Chronos.Luke Pammant.
Yeah.
Is that the domain?
Yeah, Pammant, his last name.
And I remember playing that game back in like 2016.
Yeah.
The very early phases of it.
When I was first learning how to program.
And I was like, oh no, dude, I'm getting addicted again. I don't play a lot of video games because of that reason. I get way too addicted. But yes, go ahead and go there and get addicted.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, check it out.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Oh, actually, do you have anything else that you'd like to say at all?
No, not really.
I say this same thing at the end of every episode, and it's gotten to the point where it does almost like feel robotic as I'm saying it, but I truly do mean it as well. Like, keep grinding, keep playing, and just enjoy life, man.
Yeah.
So,
amen. Thank you.
I'll catch you at the next checkpoint. Bye, guys.